Here it is. Let's just, I guess, practice. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, no worries. Oh, they don't want to put music back on. I'm afraid I'm going to trip.
All right, everybody, let's get started. Everybody doing good after lunch? Anybody falling asleep?
Yeah, please don't fall asleep.
I like that. I like that. Anybody else falling asleep? No? Yeah? Everybody else? Hey, can somebody give me something they've learned they like to share that was super impactful you're taking back to your team or applying to your process? It's got to be really quick, though, because I'm not even supposed to do that, but I'd love to hear some stuff. Anybody got anything? Nobody's learning. Okay. Without further, I'm just kidding. Hey, real quick, super excited to announce the next speaker in here. I've been following her for a while on LinkedIn, so if you're not, you should. I heard they called her the Unicorn Whisperer. It's a real thing. But right now, she's head of sales development at Eightfold AI. Please do me a huge favor, put your hands together for Kat Andruha.
Thanks, guys. Hi, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here, so I hope you guys are all really excited to be here as well. I'm sure you've heard this all day long, but congratulations for being able to take a day off of work and actually learn something, because it does get a little bit difficult when you're helping the entire world and your organization. It's really hard to keep up on what are the latest trends, right? So today, and I'm gonna kind of talk really fast, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask at the end, but also hit me up on LinkedIn. Just gonna go through an intro. I'm gonna walk through those marketing slides that I had to actually throw into my presentation in order to be here today. So quick little 20-second pitch on Eightfold. And then we're just gonna go over a quick review on what ABM is, and then we're gonna execute. You should be able to, at the end of my presentation, walk away knowing exactly what you're gonna do with your team when you go back to the office. And the slides are literally, you'll be able to execute. You'll have account views, you'll have contact views, and hopefully you'll be hitting or overachieving your quota. So really quickly, who am I and where did I come from? So before I started in high-tech sales at Aruba Networks selling wireless LAN infrastructure, I did 3.5 years in finance, and my friend said, you really need to go into tech sales. And I said, I don't know anything about technology. I mean, I don't even own a regular phone. It's a flip phone. I don't even know how to sell. She's like, you don't need to know how to sell. You're just going to make a ton of money. So here I am today. I joined the AAISP and then had a kid and then went to a startup and then went into the ERP space at Financial Force. Flipped a house. I enjoy flipping homes on the side. And then I went to Sugar CRM where I learned about the CRM space. Had another kid. And then went to Aptus where I ran a global sales development team there and bought another house, flipped that house. And that's really where I started to network, started to get in the game, do webinars, start showing up to networking events. I highly recommend doing that. If you haven't gone outside of your bubble, you really learn a lot from your colleagues and your peers. And then from there, I went over to Anaplan where we IPO'd. So that is why they call me the Unicorn Whisperer. So I've worked for a company that's been acquired, I've worked for a company that's gone IPO, and I've also worked for a company that's gone under. So I kind of have all the ballpark experience to share with you guys. So right now, I am at Eightfold.ai, and we are a talent management platform that's backed with artificial intelligence. Now this tool really helps organizations deal with high churn, diversity, bias, because we know it's so hard to source and find employees. Why not let machine learning do it for you? So essentially, we've looked at over 6,000 public data sources where we can scour the internet, and you can actually go onto LinkedIn. You use Eightfold over it. You can go onto Monster and Indeed, and Eightfold will tell you whether or not that person you're looking for can actually do the role that you are sourcing. So it will let you know by tiny little bubbles, is this person a match or not a match? And so it will allow you to find the right person for the right role at the right time. So, and we do that all with artificial intelligence. So if you guys are interested on sourcing better SDRs and sales candidates, let me know too. And we're done with the marketing pitch. So now moving on to what is ABM? We all know that marketing wants us to use ABM, and then they say, go out there and just do it. right? So what I've come up with is target account prospecting, which is an execution methodology which is comprised of touch patterns, marketing collateral, messaging against account-based marketing approach for outbound prospecting. This enables SDRs to use extreme focus and persistence in their outreach to prospecting. Utilizing this approach will enable you to hit your KPIs, book SQOs, and put more money in your pocket. So the first step that you want to take when you are executing your ABM strategy is time management. You need to let your SDRs know that 75% of their time is going to be outbound prospecting. Only 20% of their time is going to be following up on MQLs and marketing, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. And then the other 10% is admin. Don't let your SDRs be your account executives' EAs. Then you're going to work with sales operations, you're going to work with sales, you're going to work with marketing, and you're going to even work with your customer success team. And you guys are all going to partner together and figure out your ideal customer profile. This was one of the reasons why our team at Anaplan was so successful, is I was able to partner with all of the leaders within that organization and bring a level of operational excellence around this ideal customer profile. And then you're going to align your SDRs. Look at your organization. Not everybody's SDR org is the same. You could have inbound, you could have enterprise, you could have industry focused, you could have strategic, and each of those SDRs has a different KPI. Your inbound team is going to be more call heavy. Your strategic team is probably not going to be as call heavy. So you have to make sure that not only sales leadership understands this, marketing understands this, but your SDRs understand this. And voila, I've also introduced a career path for you within your own organization. So you can now expand that team to be not just there for 6 months, but 18 months. So now what? Now that you've got that framework as a leader, what are you gonna do with those SDRs? There's nothing worse than leaving a meeting and saying, all right, that's cool, now what? Now what am I gonna do? Well, here you go. You're going to use the target account prospecting approach. You're going to set clear expectations. You're going to teach your SDRs time management skills. You're going to teach them consistent follow-up, and they're going to be persistent in their messaging. And so this is the framework we're going to walk through today. And I'm going to go through each of these bullets in a separate slide. And I apologize that I am moving fast, but 20 minutes is not that long. So you're going to pretend here that you have 3 account executives, just for the sake of this presentation. And so what that means is you're going to have 30 accounts per account executive per quarter, right? Those accounts are going to only line up to 1 or 2 industries so that your SDR can be effective in their messaging. And then you're going to go even more granular and decide which lines of business they're going to be contacting. Are they going to be calling into the sales department? Are they going to be calling into the marketing department? So that they can now hone in on persona messaging. Then you're going to go in and you're going to do some admin work. This is your 10% of the time. You're marking those accounts in Salesforce, you're marking the contacts in Salesforce, and then you're going to compile a framework. And that framework is going to consist of marketing collateral, any webinars your team is hosting, case studies, and then you're going to execute. You want to set clear expectations for every member of the organization. That means account executives, that means sales leadership, that means marketing. And each of these objectives are lined out here. You want to make sure that your AEs are involved in the target accounts that you are calling into. They should be going through their list. They know their territory. Push back on them. You live in that territory. Tell me more. Your child plays soccer with the CIO over here. Tell me more. Use them as a mentor. And then the SDR, make sure the SDR understands their main role within an organization is to bring value by generating pipeline. A meeting is still pipeline. A conversation can still be pipeline. Make sure they understand that value is around how many dollars they can bring to an organization. Their job is to prospect into these accounts, not just to research them, but to actually call them, to email them, to engage with them, to find out their intent to buy. Engagement is a thing of the past. Are we looking at people that actually intend to buy your product? And then they're going to be prospecting on inbound leads, outbound leads, and working collaboratively with their account executive. Make sure that the account executives are actually joining weekly calls with their SDRs. If you're a sales leader, invite your SDR to your team calls. There's nothing more exciting for an SDR to just hear about the deals that they've fostered and grown with the AE. The Sdr Execution is here. We're going to walk through this step by step. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. But essentially, the goal is to break up your month into 2 separate waves. You'll have 5 accounts per account executive per week, which is about 10 accounts per AE per month. Now, that might change for your business. Might go up, might go down. All depends on what your sales cycle looks like. And then from there, you're going to tie those contacts in. And you're going to be able to hit your 40 calls, 40 emails, 50, 80, whatever your KPI is. And it also leads to about 2 calls and 2 emails per lead per week. So all of this work, and that's all you get out of it. Unfortunately, SDRs are human beings, right? So you want to make sure that those 2 calls and those 2 emails have extreme focus and are very personalized to that prospect's needs. See, there we go. Because why? It takes 16 touches for a prospect to actually have a conversation with somebody. That's emails, that's voicemails, that's direct mailers, that's conversations. This is from Topo. If you guys don't know about Topo, I highly suggest reaching out to them. They've helped me at numerous companies provide operational excellence across the board. This is what your monthly schedule looks like, and I'm going to break it down. So it's very repetitive here. What you'll see at the very, very top is week 1 is wave A, and week 2 is wave B. Week 3 just mimics week 1, and week 4 just mimics week 2. And so what you do here is you'll see that you're going to be focused on manufacturing accounts, and you're going to be calling into the sales line of business. So then that way, over the month, your SDR becomes a master at speaking to manufacturing organizations. They become more effective in their messaging. And then you're choosing those accounts, and you're choosing 5 contacts in each. I highly recommend only doing 1 to 2 industries. Anytime you get 3 to 4, your SDR can lose the value in their messaging over the phone. And I wouldn't do a higher ratio than 4 AEs to 1 SDR. It can be a little bit too cumbersome to manage scheduling. And we're going to go even deeper here. So this is now the weekly schedule. So you've got your monthly schedule, you have your quarterly schedule, and every single week you're going to divide up your day. Here's a full work week. Manufacturing and sales is one day. You can do healthcare and finance the next day. And what you can do is you can break down the accounts and the contacts that are going into it. And you always want to schedule your week that you're going to be working on Friday, so that when you walk in on Monday, your SDR knows exactly what to do. You guys are probably sitting there and you're like, well, this is a lot of legwork. I promise you the first time around, yeah, it's going to be tedious. Yeah, you're not going to be able to find the right accounts. Yeah, you're going to have to import data. But I promise you that first month is going to fly by, and that second month, you're going to know exactly what you're doing. Because the goal is that you're working on this on a quarterly basis, and you're just adding and you're removing accounts as you book meetings. So every single week, my SDRs now, they'll write in there, oh, I'm working on these accounts. I'm like, oh, are these the same ones from week 1? And they're like, well, actually, these are 5 new ones. I already booked 5 meetings. And it's true. Our newest SDR has been on board for almost 4 weeks, and in the last 2 weeks, she's booked 12 meetings just by using this approach. So it's very focused for success for your SDRs. The happier SDRs are, the more they're going to book for you, and the more they're going to go out into the marketplace and say, come work here. And then you're going to get even granular, right? We're going to take a look at the account now and those 5 contacts. What do you do to each of those contacts? You're going to call them, you're going to email them, you're going to in-mail them. In-mail is probably the most successful way to reach out to prospects now, aside from direct mailers. We're getting a lot of really great responses from direct mailers, which leads to face-to-face meetings. And then from there, if you focus on these 10 accounts and they're just calling the contacts and their top target accounts, they're gonna hit their KPIs without even thinking about it. There's nothing worse than having to worry about the metric at the end of the day. But if they're just focused on their target accounts, they'll be able to hit their KPIs, and you don't even have to worry about having a conversation. The more calls and more emails and more in-mails they send, the more likely they are to hit their quota. And this is the latest portion of my top accounts activity sector that I've decided to plug in, is it's a framework. A lot of the feedback I get from SDRs is, all right, we just heard from marketing about this event, and now we've got this event over here, and now they want me to drive attendance to this webinar, and now they want to come talk to us at our SDR huddle, and then I heard on the sales call that we have to set meetings at this event, and then I heard that we're selling this over here, and their minds just blow. And the minute that an SDR can't stay focused is when they lose productivity. And you see them chatting with their friends, and then they're like, I'm just like not into it today. And you're like, I get it. I wouldn't be into it either if I was being pulled in 20 different directions. So lay it out for them. Look at the quarter. Team with your marketing leadership. Understand their calendar. Know what strategic events are coming up. Know what regional events are coming up for each of your SDRs. Know the case studies that pertain to the industries that they're calling into. Understand, are all of the accounts that you're hitting up, do they all have one competitor that they are targeting? Make a campaign out of it. Direct mailers, make sure that they're sending a direct mailer at least once a month. Expense it. I actually just got hit up by our VP of Finance, and she's like, hey, Kat, why are all of your SDRs sending flowers and balloons to people? And I was like, direct mailers? She's like, can't we just send like swag or something? And I was like, no, swag doesn't work. We send them balloons, we send them flowers, and we just say, hey, hope you're having a great day sourcing 100 applicants right now. And it works, and people give us a call. Try something different. And then an ISP, an integrated sales play. Take a look at your product. See, how can you break that product down? We sell 4 products in one product. We focus on one product for an entire quarter and hit that persona and that department up. And then that way, the team is focused on that messaging as well. So this is an example of an outbound touch pattern that we're currently using right now. We do pre-call research, mainly not on, hey, you like karate, or you went to San Jose State or something like that. It's really around, what have they done in their industry? Are there any blog posts that they've done? We quote what they've said in certain articles to make it more about the buyer's experience and not our own. You can mention customer stories and voicemails. Make sure that your buyer-centric message is really around their persona, and make sure that you set this up for them. You can set up that sales loft or outreach or InsideSales.com cadence for them. And as mentioned before, set up an account view for them that only pulls those target accounts that they are calling through for that quarter. Then that way, every single day, every single month, they can come in and they go to one spot, and it's this account view, and they can see the different accounts that they're calling. Are they calling on customers if they're strategic? Are they calling on industry focus if they're an industry SDR? And you'll be able to use this in all of your one-on-ones too, instead of them scrambling through trying to find something. And this is what a contact view would look like. You choose those 5 contacts. Use an arbitrary field in Salesforce that nobody uses. We all have them. There's like 20 of them that you have to scroll through in order to get to activity, right? So just put an asterisk in there or something. Make your life easy. Don't worry about setting up a new field. We did decide to set up a new field because we wanted to rate things by tap account. So I set up, the only thing that I set up for the sales team and for the SDR team was tap account, and you just mark it off. So in that way we could run reports on it, and the VP of sales could run reports on it. And then that way they could also see how many dials were going into each of those accounts. Here's an example of the framework, and it really will take you probably about an hour to put together with your SDR. And you can do it in a team meeting. You can have your managers do it in their team meeting or do a huddle over this. But really what it focuses on is everything that's going on for that SDR in those accounts in one spot. No intranet to sift through, no email to sift through. It's all there, on a piece of paper that they can go through and they can constantly refer to. And here is where you can also use a to-do list. Did you build out your cadence? Have you hit your dial counts? Do you have enough case studies to reference? Because it's hard for SDRs to toggle between different windows when they're on the phone with the prospect. This will allow them to refer to one sheet. Hey, you know what? Fine, you don't want to take a meeting with me? Why don't we just meet at this event that we're hosting? Join us after work. Let's enjoy a happy hour together. And then they can drive attendance all at the same time. You're hitting 20 birds with one stone. So you're making marketing happy, you're making sales happy, and you're making your manager happy. What are your responsibilities as a manager? I mean, we have to put some sort of the execution back on ourselves, right? Align with marketing. I'll say it again, align with marketing. They only want you to succeed. You might think that they're doing everything wrong, but they're trying really hard. They really are. And if you can make friends with your marketing department, all of a sudden your lead routing improves. You can have any of your tap account MQLs auto MQL. You don't have to wait for a behavior score. You can then have the SDRs that are strategic, that are only outbounding, only receive MQLs from those target accounts. Let inbound do inbound. Let strategic SDRs do outbounds. Set up a dial report in SFDC to see dials into those tap accounts. Let the SDRs know. Just this morning, my SDRs were like, my AEs are asking me what accounts I'm calling into. I'm like, lucky for you, we have a tap dial report. They went into it, they're like, this is amazing. All they do is send that link in Slack and they say, hey, look, I contacted 20 of your accounts. Every AE has contacted them back and said, this is amazing. They just want to understand what their SDRs are doing. So make it readily available for them. It will make your job easier. Complaints will die down, I promise. One-on-ones. Your one-on-one shouldn't just be that session where the SDR complains, you roll your eyes, or you have to worry about some other things. I heard a chuckle. 30 minutes should be spent on your tap account follow-up. What dial reports are they using? Are they calling everybody? Why aren't they successful? Or are they super successful? If what they're doing changes your framework, then change your framework. Listen to your SDRs. They're the ones that are on the phones more than we are anymore. And then the next 30 minutes should be on career progression with them. What could they be doing differently to make them the #1 choice to move up to an account executive role? What could they be doing to explore customer success? Introduce them to those leaders. It will be tenfold when they get promoted. And then sit with one SDR for 1 hour a day. This is actually from Hirsch. He's in the audience. He told me this. I know it's really hard to do, but take the time, block 1 hour a day. It doesn't have to be the same hour, but sit with an SDR. Being on the floor will actually, you'll be able to hear the heartbeat of your organization. I used to sit on the floor all the time with my SDRs, and now I do it at every company that I go to. And you just not only learn about the SDRs and what they're doing, but you learn about them personally too. And it's a great way to understand if your process and procedure is working or if it's not working too. They'll give you direct feedback. Highlight pipeline generation into these accounts. We used to cut out logos, paste them on the wall. We would send out, now we send out Slacks. We didn't have Slack before at a couple of organizations I've worked at. Now we send out a Slack. Everybody cheers for that SDR. We have a bell that they ding every time. The entire office screams and yells for them every time they book a meeting. So it's just a really great way to, once again, show the organization the value of your SDRs. And create a contest, but I'm sure you guys all know how to do that. So it's just hard to do sometimes as a manager. So put it on your top performing SDR to do it and see how they perform in a leadership position. And some insider secrets, this is what we do. The dial and email counter into each of our MQLs, we actually manage our leads views off of these counters. So we'll have a today queue, a 3-day queue, a 10-day queue, and then we have a 21-day queue and a 90-day queue. And the goal is that by the end of the week, you've put 2 calls and 2 emails into your MQLs, and then they'll be pushed out into your 21-day queue. And then when we go back as managers and we look at our 90-day queue, we make sure that there's no zeros in there because we want to make sure that the SDRs have actually been calling through the MQLs. whiteboards on the SDR desk, like mini ones, nothing huge, nothing big, but a lot of my SDRs put like their daily affirmations on there. I'm gonna get a meeting today, I'm gonna break into this account, I'm gonna send a direct mailer, and it's just always there. It's their own board, they can decide what they wanna put on it, but it seems to work for most of them. A Cadence Tool, if you don't have one and you're manually sending out emails, I'm sorry, you probably should invest in a Cadence Tool. SalesLoft, InsideSales.com, Outreach, anything that works for your organization. Because gamification really is key for my org. We love seeing who climbs the leaderboards. They challenge each other. They have a really good time with it. There's a walk-on song, all that fun stuff. SDR enablement. If you can, look at your budget. Take a look. Do you really need that extra SDR? Or is there a way that you can use that budget for an SDR ops individual? And I only say that because I had one and it was amazing. He reported directly into our marketing ops person. I said, I'll give up my budget. And this person set up all of our vendors. Our SalesLoft, our InsideSales.com, our Sales Navigator, managed all of our dashboards, took care of all of our reports, which allowed me as a manager to actually sit with the SDRs and be more of a mentor than having to run reports and run dashboards. So I highly recommend seeing if there's a way for you to allocate budget towards an SDR enablement and ops individual. And then marketing operations. Be this person's best friend. They will change your life. They will give you insight into all of the scoring. They will be able to provide you with all the reports. They will let you know about all of the slides that they're putting together for their marketing meeting before they get sent out, so you have an idea of what's going to be said in that meeting. So you can prep yourself on how you work with marketing. And that's it. Any questions? That was a lot. I tried to speed up, but I think I did well. There you go.
Yeah, we got a few minutes for some Q&A if we got some questions. Not everybody raised their hand all at once.
There we go.
That'd be tough. Excuse me. Pardon me. Excuse me.
Can you just double click on the tap dialer report?
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
know you don't have any examples, but maybe how you constructed it and what.
Yeah, so if you just go into, I'm going to try to remember how to click through Salesforce here, so I'm assuming you use Salesforce. So if you just go into reports, what we did is we pulled a report based on activity on contacts, and then we related it to the matched account of that particular contact. And because we have that tap field, we were able to just also pull it by tap account. But when you go in, it'll show you the number of dials that the SDR made. And then when you drill down into it, it'll populate all of the accounts that they called into. So it really is about activities with contacts and a matched account. And that's your filter. Yeah, no problem. I can also send you a screenshot. Just hit me up on LinkedIn. Any other questions? All right, cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we may
guys.
have one more. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous.
You showed the screen for the follow-up time. It actually only listed out 1 to 10 accounts.
Let me.
But you had 20.
I don't know if
listed,
this works
so
anymore.
Want to see how you can follow up to all this.
Sorry, can you? Which slide is it?
It was the it was a slide with like your weekly
Yeah.
activity on the accounts. There was 1 day allocated for follow-up on the Friday. How are you following up with all of the accounts that were listed there?
How are we following up with them?
There was 1 to 10 accounts. Like there's only 10 accounts listed. You might have to go back to the, sorry.
That's okay. You just tell me when.
Right, wait. It was the follow-up one. Might have to go.
Back to Monday. This way?
Right here. Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay,
Just
go
that
ahead.
last day, that Friday, the follow-up accounts 1 to 10 listed out.
Yeah, so.
But you've got 2 different industry types, so are you following up with every one of those accounts?
No, those are the ones that, you know that something's going on with them and you're just following back up with them. Like you're putting in that extra touch. Fridays, we find that in the morning, people are really responsive to our emails and our phone calls. They kind of have some downtime. I use Fridays for admin work. A lot of my colleagues use Fridays for admin work. It always ends up being the busiest day of the week because we're trying to cram everything in to 3 or 4 hours, right? But this is where my SDRs, they'll be like, oh, okay, you know, I know that Cisco has something going on. I'm going to do an extra follow-up into this account. So they'll label out all of the accounts that they're going to follow up on that Friday, like on Thursday before they leave. And then these are also ones where if they get responses back from emails and then that person hasn't reached back out to set another meeting, they'll follow up again with them. So a lot of admin work into those accounts.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Maybe do one more.
Any other
If we have
questions?
any other.
Oh, here we go.
Where? Who? You? Oh.
Is there a cap on the number of in-mails you can send a month?
There
Is-
is, it's about, I believe it's 50, depending on which package you purchase.
Okay, because it seemed like it was part of your process for all of these.
It is part of the process. I know that if people don't respond, you get a credit back. We've had SDRs that end up like tacking up almost 100 credits sometimes. They use LinkedIn in-mails to test to see if that person's still at that organization. If they don't follow back up, they get a credit on it. Any other questions? Oh, cool.
I'll be super nice. Do one more.
What is the deal size or the lifetime value of the account for this cadence you're running?
You know, I mean, I've implemented this at 4 organizations, so it varies. And kind of like what I said earlier, it all just depends on how your SDR organization is aligned, right? So for example, like your install base, you wouldn't have this many accounts every single day because you're gonna be calling into customers. So you can only hit a couple of influencers within that org, right? So you might have only 5 accounts and let's say their ACV size is only like 50K. But we've seen it work for ACVs of probably around, I wanna say on average, 125K all the way up to 500K ACV. But we typically use this in our commercial team, which we value by employee size, which is anywhere from about 1,000 up to like 19,000 employees. And then we also use it in our strategic base, which is 20,000 employees and above. So it really can work for any scale of organization. You just have to either increase it or whittle it down, right? And the size of your org too, your SDR org. Yeah, you bet.
Hey, can we give Kat one more hand?
Thanks, guys.